Hello everyone and thanks for tuning in. Something a little unusual here on the desk today. This camera goes by many names, but the one I bought is the Castino Mini 720p HD DV digital camera video recorder. This commonly goes by the Y3000 name. So you will find that under various names. I paid $20.19 for this. The purpose behind this is to see if we can make this into something that would be like a GoPro on a brushless quad, so it could record our flight video in a little higher resolution. And this camera is tiny, so I thought I would acquire one and see what it would do for us. So let's go ahead and get it out. Such a tiny little thing. Let me see. I got a quad here. This is the 80 millimeter. Set it right there, right? No. Obviously, I had no intentions of keeping the case on this, so part of my plan is to rip the case apart. There's just a couple of basic, it's molded to look like a camera. It's kind of a novelty item. As it says in the box, it claims that it records in 720p. Quite frankly, I'd be happy with 800 by 600, really. So we'll see what we get. Various videos do exist on this. It does have an SD card. I put one in it. Mine's a class 10. That'll focus. That is a class 10, so that would eliminate the SD card being a problem. Well, it should eliminate the SD card being the problem if we were to have drop frames. This is a functional button up front here, turns it on and off. 2-second press for video, short press for still photographs. We've got our non-standard USB port, so we have to keep our cable around. Unfortunately, this cable, I don't know where else you can get one of these. Maybe you guys do, but so this cable is going to be necessary while we have this camera in order to be able to charge it. But there's a possibility that maybe we just decouple it from the battery. There is a reset button. I don't know if you can see this here. I've got my flash on, so there's a little tiny reset button right down there where you would take like a paper clip in and shove it in. I guess that's if the camera locks up or something. And then it says on this side that it's got the microphone. Let me get the instructions out, which the instructions are kind of sketchy. Here, this gives you a better idea of the layout, the physical layout, but it's kind of comical. It's got a file on the device that you have to put the year, date, and time in the particular format, and then you have the yes or the no at the end to make the timestamp not appear on the camera. And then you set the time and date down to the second by this file. So you're gonna get it within a minute. I think that would be pretty good if you did want it on there. It touts its resolution at 1280 by 720. It does say 30 frames per second. Then it lists Windows ME, 2000 XP, 2003, and Vista. Oh, this thing must be old. Oh, this is funny. Mini 8-pin. Card supports up to 32 gigs. What did I put in there? I think it was a 16. Yeah, it's a 16 that I put in. Okay. So I'm gonna try to strip this thing down. Ah, geez, I can't get this back in. So I don't really see where there's any screws or anything, so I suspect this is just going to be a wedge something in there and get it apart job. Let's see what happens. I'll go ahead and get this started. Got a flat screwdriver here. Let's see, where should I start? Let's start away from the power source, so let's start up here. I don't have any intentions on... Holy cow, that seems to be on there better than I expected. On actually keeping the body in any sort of operational shape. So I wonder by chance if there are screws behind these stickers. Not that one. And not that one. Okay, those are just pieces of plastic. Well, I do think I'm have to... Should be pretty safe. Here we go, we're starting to get it. Oh, hold on, I forgot to do something. Let's weigh it. Oops, sorry about the camera. Let's see if I can get this in shot here. Let's weigh it up. Okay. Without the SD card, we've got 17.1. So keep that in mind. We're going to find out how much this case actually weighs. Does it? I wonder if it lists. I'm going to look here on the website to see if it lists a weight. It says 0.3 ounces. So whatever that translates to in grams, I don't know. I can change this over. So that's ounces. So it said 0.3 ounces on the listing, but when you weigh it, it's 0.6. So website is way off. Oh well. Not that we should have trusted that anyways. Anyway. Oh, jeez. Well, that part came off. Easy enough. And that's fake. Oh, it's pretty good. So there's our actual camera. That's the lens. It's a little tiny thing, isn't it? Why can't I get this to just pop off? It seems like it should. It's got to be just a couple little... Okay, I'm going to have to take a break, get some actual tools, do some hard work here. Okay, so what I did to pull it apart was I actually grabbed a hold of this tab and then used the lens nose as my leverage and just pulled real hard. You can see there's just a couple of tabs on this thing on top and bottom, so if you want to pull one of your own apart, you can see the battery here, 3.7 volts, 200 mAh. So we should be able to either use a smaller battery that's lighter or possibly even power this from our FPV. Possibly. We'll check into that. So you can see we have I thought it was 3 screws. But these black areas here are voids. So it looks like we just have the 1 screw. Let's see what we get. Oh, it's in there pretty good. Gonna have to... wonder if these tabs are holding it from the inside as well. I don't see any reason. Yeah, it's coming out. Do you see that little plastic down in there? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we had 17.1 ounces to start out with. So let's see what all these plastic bits weighs. Oh, here's the button. I think that's it. So that takes it down to where this should weigh around 9 ounces. 8.3. So even with the battery, not bad. I mean, you might be able to live with just that. Boy, I don't like twisting that cable. But if you were to try to just as it is, something that had a flat top area that you had access to, you could make some sort of mounting plate and put it there on your quad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to devise a plan here. Might take me a few minutes. It probably doesn't make for good video. Look into the battery to see if I can't do something different. I wonder how much that battery weighs. See if we can get a close guesstimate here. Oh boy. Boy, that's hard though. You don't know if I'm pressing down with those wires or... So that might weigh 5 grams. So that would make everything else 3.5. So if you could run this from the FPV power, but that's running 5 volts and this is running 3.7. Okay. So we might have to have the battery, because you don't want to add another voltage regulator. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can't figure out some way to mount this up. It does look like this plastic housing does come off. Let me see if I can do that before I step all the way away. It does feel like it's... Yeah, it's got something sticky back there. Now how much does it weigh? Let's take it off. Zero it out. So just under 8 grams. So if I were to add that... Oh, that's not weighing that right. So 54, I'd be running about almost 70 grams with a battery. That's going to be pushing it a bit. So that battery might be an issue. But this is essentially what you get out of the camera. It's got a little tiny hole. I'll get this working and I'll post some video footage, some outdoor video footage. And you can see we still have the microphone over here, which that should look familiar to us. Let me hold this right side up. We have our microphone here. This button here is our on-off and selector, and then this is the reset button that was mentioned. And then we've got our port right down here, and we do have access to these soldering ports. So if you get one of these, this is how your wires are soldered. And this battery confounds me a bit. I'm going to take it apart, see if it's actually 3.7 volts or if it's something else. Okay. Yeah, I like what we got so far. I think there's a lot of possibility here. Initially, when I'd seen this, I was thinking that I could mount this thing to a piece of plastic, so it would be kind of portable without all the plastic housing, and decrease that weight. So if I could just run a lead off of here to my FPV and just power it through some sort of Y onto one of these, then, you know, in this one I've got a mess of wires, so just get another micro JST connector, 1 mil, and connect that on there. I do think it's doable, but whatever we do, we're going to have access to all these things. So if you mount this, keep that in mind if you decide to get one. Oh, and I just lost my power lead. Look at that, it just came right off. Oh well. And there goes the other one. Keep those from shorting out. So yeah, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna figure out a way to mount this up on either this one or one of my others to get some flight footage. It does seem like I might be able to just do something like that, just for test purposes. I might also be able to somehow get it, put it in here, and then run the camera ribbon cable up through here and just mount it up like that. I have heard that these lenses are somewhat fragile, So I'm going to have to take precaution there. All right, I'm gonna give it some go, and I'll come back and show you what I end up coming up with, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I kept talking about the 3.7 volts. That's what our 1S batteries run at. I don't know what I was thinking. That's what I get for doing these things late at night. So I've got my little wiring harness here. The only special thing that I did was use electrical liquid tape, which is in my $10 tool chest. And then I soldered these on, and because I didn't want any chance of them shorting, I put a gob of electrical liquid tape on there as well. So now I'm just going to plug it all together and hope it works and see what happens.
You can see in this shot the breeze is quite heavy, but you can also see the difference in field of view. We've got our VTX recording in the lower right, and we've got our Y3000 camera in the upper left. And we're going to get ready to take off, but you can already tell the image quality is pretty decent. So we struggle through the wind, and we're going to go for a quick lap or two here, and you can see the jello in the recording. And there, I tried a couple different attempts and runs at this, but it didn't get any better, and unfortunately that's just how things turned out for me. And we can talk about that more here in the next segment. But we make a couple laps, and you can take a look at the video quality. It does record audio. I didn't include that here. It's a little bit better than the VTX, but it's still quite noisy with that motor and prop. We're going to head inside here and just take a look at how it handles indoor lighting, and you're going to tell that with that tiny pinhole camera it doesn't get much light, so it's going to appear darker where there's not an abundance of light. The larger lens and the larger field of view just takes in more light, so you get a better image that way. In this particular case, I'm not flying, I'm just carrying it around the house so you can get a better idea of what it would look like. You notice that it seems the Y3000 lens is pointed quite high. I've actually got the physical mounting to where they're one above the other, and they're very, very similar in angle. So it's just a bit zoomed in because of the fact that we have a wider field of view with our FPV camera. Take a glance, and then we're going to go downstairs, and it's going to get real dark down here. And these are actually kind of zoomed in, but again, that field of view really makes it feel like the video is out of sync, but it's actually pretty close. And you can see we almost see nothing in that darkness. And the camera that I'm using for FPV is the $9 170 degree Banggood camera.
Okay, we're back here at the bench. A couple things to note in addition, because I didn't previously record the positioning of everything. In order to get the video upright, if you want to pursue this, you have to twist this cable. As you can see here, mine's kind of already naturally leaning that way. And the jello in that video may have been because I have it mounted directly to the frame, which is attached to the motors. I did try a couple of different sets of props. I tried balancing props. My other idea, which I couldn't quite make work, was to mount it down here at the lower part of the frame, and hopefully these nylon bolts and the looseness would kind of alleviate some of that jello. I couldn't get it down here on either side with the cable twist and all the nonsense I've got going on down here. So you may want to give this a try yourself. Maybe you can do a better job than I did of having a balanced quad that doesn't vibrate, have those micro vibrations which causes that jello. It is feasible to use it like a GoPro for higher resolution video recordings of your flights. But I have another idea, and I already have the parts on order, and they should be getting here soon. So you may want to hold off if you want to try this to see the next video, which I hope to post soon, depending upon when those props come in. It was a terrible windy day when I was flying as well, and I waited several days to try to get a less windy day, but unfortunately we've had wind more days than not, and in the last 2 weeks I really haven't been able to do much flying at all. The wind is, I think today was 22-mile-an-hour breeze, but the gusts were up to 40 to 45 miles an hour, and I think the gusts were more often than they were not gusting. So it wasn't a good flying day, and that probably made it worse. If I find on a good, calm, steady day that jello, I'm going to leave this as it is. I'll have to remount this. But if I get a nice, calm day and I fly it and the jello isn't nearly as bad, it's quite possible that this is better than what I've shown you. Unfortunately, I just don't have the patience to continue to wait. But again, if you want to give this a go, it's not that big of a deal. You're out $20, which I know we don't want to throw money away, but it's a fun little project. You can still take all this out, put it back in the camera housing, and use it in some other novelty way. I've seen videos of people who hang it from their cat collars or something, or maybe you put it around one of your kids' necks on a lanyard and see what, part of their day looks like or something. Probably sit in front of iPads and whatnot. But thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions on what I might be able to do to alleviate some of that jello, the only other one I can think of is increase my skills on balancing the props, new motors, which I doubt it's the motors, but it could be. And like I said, the only other idea I had was to mount it down here on the lower plate, which I just couldn't make happen. I didn't want to twist and pinch this cable too much because that seems very fragile to me. I don't know how much it can take before all of a sudden it just doesn't work. So if you have some other ideas, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd enjoy hearing them, and I'll probably even give them a try if it seems like I can make it work on this frame. I know I have those other micro quads that I could attempt this with, but I'm going to actually save that for the next attempt I have at doing higher resolution video recording of our flights. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you in the next one.